right, welcome back everyone to Little Warrior Church Daily Bible Reading. It is December the 5th, so let's go to Lord in prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for this day and thank you for everything you've given us. Help us understand what we're about to read today as we're in the book of Isaiah. And I pray, amen. All right, it is 6:13 in the morning. Good morning everyone. We're going to be in chapter 10 today. Woe to those who decree unrighteous decrees, and to the writers who write oppressive decrees, to deprive the needy of justice, and to rob the poor among my people of their right, that widows may be their plunder, and that they may make fatherless their prey. What will you do in the day of visitation and the desolation which will come from afar? To whom will you flee for help? Where will you leave your wealth? Right here he's talking about how the Syrians were coming in and taking hold of the northern tribe, which is the house of Israel. There were two houses at that time, the northern house, house of Israel, and then the southern house, which was the house of Judah. The Assyrians are coming to take over. The northern tribe wants to join forces with the Assyrians to take hold of the southern tribe as well. They wanted to join forces with this huge 700-year-old civilization called the Syrians. And the Lord in the last chapters was saying, don't even bother, because you northern tribe are going to be sold into slavery, just like your forefathers were for the Egyptians. Verse 4, they will only bow down under the prisoners and will fall under the slain, for all of his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still. Alas, Assyrian, the rod of my anger, the staff in whose hand is my indignation. That's interesting, because the Assyrians did not hold Yahweh in any kind of esteem. They didn't even think about worshiping him. In fact, they hated him. And yet God's saying here, alas, Assyrian, the rod of my anger. It's saying that even God can use civilization or people who don't believe in him to use it according to his purpose. And we can see that with Satan himself. Satan hates God. He wants all of God's beloved creatures just to be destroyed. And yet God can use Satan and direct his path in order to bring about good. Weird how that happens. The staff in whose hand is my indignation. I will send him against a profane nation and against the people who anger me. I will give him a command to take the plunder and to take the prey, and to tread them down like the mire of the streets. However, he doesn't mean so, neither does his heart think so. But it is his heart to destroy and to cut off a few nations. For he says, aren't all my princes kings? Aren't Kalino like Carmeshesh? Isn't Hamath like Arpad? Isn't Samaria like Damascus? As my hand has found the kingdoms of the idols, whose engraved images exceed those of Jerusalem and Samaria, shall I not, as I have done in Samaria and her idols, do so to Jerusalem and her idols? He's talking about how these other, like Samaria and Damascus, they had idols that they would worship. And that's one of the things that God hates, because he says that there is no one beside me. There's no other God that you can worship besides me. And the angels that he created to live in union and protect his throne from what? I'm still trying to figure that out, but it just seems like he made these things for messengers for us, or to cater to us in the spirit realm that we can't see yet. They fell, some of them fell, and now they are trapped here on the earth as we are, and now they want to be worshipped like God. And this is where the idols come in. Some human back then would make something from wood or something and say, this is my idol, and bow down to it. The power was behind it because of one of these fallen angels. We can see how Satan has the power to direct the winds and the earthly forces And he gets the power to make you sick with boils. We can see that in the book of Job. So he has power, but he also is restricted to only what God is allowing him to do. Therefore, it will happen that when the Lord has performed his whole work on Mount Zion and Jerusalem, I will punish the fruit of the willful, proud heart of the king of Assyria, and his insolence of his arrogant looks. For he has said, by the strength of my hand I have done it, and by the wisdom, for I have understanding, I have removed the boundaries of the peoples, and removed and robbed their treasuries. Like a valiant man, I have brought down their rulers. God is saying, this king of Assyria is way too proud. He only conquered the Israelites because of my hand. He's way too proud, and I will bring him down. That's what happens when you have pride. One of the things that God hates is pride, because that's where sin originated, which we will see in the book of Isaiah. It talks about Satan himself, which is incredibly interesting to me, if not you. But it's one of the insights that we have of what happened with Lucifer when he fell. Verse 14, my hand has found the riches of the people like a nest, and like one gathers eggs that are abandoned. I have gathered all the earth. There was no one who moved the wing, or that opened their mouth, or chirped. Should an axe brag against him who chops with it? Should an axe exalt himself above him who saws with it? He's just saying that the king of Assyria is just a tool. And we can equate that with an axe. Does an axe brag about the fact that he chopped wood himself? Absolutely not. There has to be a handler. There has to be someone to chop with. As if a rod should lift those who lift it up, or as if a staff should lift up someone who is not wood. Therefore the Lord Yahweh of armies will send among his fat ones leanness, and under his glory a burning will be kindled like the burning of fire. The light of Israel will be for a fire, and his Holy One for a flame, and it will burn and devour his thorns and his briars in one day. He will consume the glory of his forest and his fruitful field, both soul and body. It will be as when it was standard barrier faints. The remnant of the trees of his forest shall be few, so that a child could write their number. It will come to pass in the day that the remnant of Israel and those who have escaped from the houses of Jacob will no more again lean on him who struck them, but shall lean on Yahweh, the Holy One of Israel, in truth. A remnant will return, even the remnant of Jacob, to the Mighty One. Now, this remnant is prophetic. It's actually talking about Jesus. For though your people, Israel, are like the sand of the sea, only a remnant of them will return. Destruction is determined, overflowing with righteousness. For the Lord Yahweh of armies will make full end, and that determination throughout all the earth. One of the things that you could do if you ever reread Isaiah is look at how many times and how many ways he mentions Yahweh, Lord Almighty, the light of Israel, and so on. Pretty interesting stuff. Therefore the Lord Yahweh of armies says, my people who dwell in Zion, don't be afraid of the Syrian, though he strike with you with a rod and lift up his staff against you, as Egypt did. For yet a very little while, and in the indignation against you, you will be accomplished, and my anger will be directed to his destruction. Yahweh of armies will stir up a scourge against him, as with the slaughter of Midian at the rock of Oreb. His rod will be over the sea, and he will lift up like he did against Egyptians. It will happen in that day that his burden will depart from you off your shoulder, and his yoke from off your neck, and the yoke shall be destroyed because of the anointing oil. The Lord is using the Assyrians to pretty much spank the Israelites because they're doing bad. He doesn't want to destroy the Israelites, but he does want to show them that you are working against me here. I'm trying to be your leader. I'm trying to be your God, and you're not wanting to. And I told you what would happen is that a nation would come and make slaves of you, and this is what's going to happen. Now, the Assyrians don't see God, don't see Yahweh at all. And so they are proud, they're boastful, and even though Yahweh is directing their steps and defeating the Israelite people at this very time, he's going to bring them down because they're just so arrogant and prideful and worshiping other gods. Verse 28, he has come to Atha, he has passed through Migron at Michmash. He stores his baggage. They have gone over the pass, they have taken their lodging at Geba, Ramah, Tribbles. Gibeah of Saul has fled. Cry aloud with your voice, daughter of Gilman. Listen, Lishma, you poor Analoth. Menemoth is a fugitive. The inhabitants of Gimbam flee for safety. This very day he will halt at Nob. He shakes his hand at the mountain of the daughter of Zion, the hill of Jerusalem. Behold, the Lord Yahweh of armies will lop the boughs with terror. The tall will be cut down, and the lofty will be brought low. He will cut down the thickets of the forest with iron, and Lebanon will fall by the mighty one. It's pretty scary. Chapter 11. A shout will come out of the stock of Jesse. Now this is prophetic. This is talking about Jesus. Jesse. This is the David's father. So King David's father. A shoot will come out of the stock of Jesse. A branch out of his roots will bear fruit. Yahweh's spirit will rest on him. Now it's not talking about David. It's not talking about David, Solomon, or anything like that. In fact, the Messiah didn't come from Solomon's line. It came from his brother's Nathan's line. Something to look into. The Solomon bloodline, there was a curse on him. Rent this man childless. What are they going to do now? So the kings that were sitting on the throne, the Messiah didn't come from them, but it did come from Solomon's brother, Nathan. That's something to look into. Yahweh's spirit will rest on him, the spirit of wisdom and understanding, the spirit of counsel and might, the spirit of knowledge and the fear of Yahweh. His delight will be in the fear of Yahweh. He will not judge by the sight of his eyes, neither decide by the hearing of his ears, but he will judge the poor with righteousness and decide with equity for the humble of the earth. He will strike the earth with his rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips he will kill the wicked. Righteousness will be the belt around his waist, and faithfulness the belt around his waist. It says kill the wicked. It could be talking about demonic spirits here. Whenever demonic spirits came around Jesus, he told them to be silent. Many times they proclaimed that he was the Son of God, but he told them to be silent. That's something to look at. They could have easily spread lies, and I think he knew that. They said it in the beginning, he's the Son of God, but after that, they could have spread so many lies. So he told them to be silent. Imagine what they could do for us. This is the very reason why we are told not to talk to spirits unless it's God or, Jesus himself, because they can seem true, they can look true, because the Bible even says that Satan masquerades as an angel of light. He looks true, sounds true, everything what he's saying is true, but everything he could be saying is just twisted and wrong. And that's one of the reasons why we should not talk to them, because they could twist our mind in a way that keeps us away from God. Righteousness will be the belt around his waist, and faithfulness the belt around his waist. The wolf will live with the lamb, and the leopard will lie down with the young goat. The calf, the young lion, and the fatted calf together. And a little child will lead them. The cow and the bear will graze. The young ones will lie down together. The lion will eat straw like the ox. The nursing child will play near a cobra's hole. The weaned child will put his hand on the viper's den. They will not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain. For the earth will be full of knowledge of Yahweh, as the waters cover the sea. It will happen in that day that the nations will seek the root of Jesse, who stands as a banner of the peoples, and his resting place will be glorious. And that's talking about Jesus himself. It will happen that day that the Lord will set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant that is left of his people from Assyria, from Egypt, from Pathros, from Cush, from Elam, from Shinar, from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. He will set up a banner for the nations and will assemble the outcasts of Israel and gather together the disciples of Judah from the four corners of the earth. The envy also of Ephraim will depart, for those who persecute Judah will be cut off. Ephraim won't envy Judah, and Judah won't persecute Ephraim. They will fly down on the shoulders of the Philistines on the west. Together they will plunder the children of the east. They will extend their power over Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon will obey them. Yahweh will utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea, and with a scorching wind he will wave his hand over the river, and will split into the 7 streams, and cause men to march over the sandals. There will be a highway over the remnant that is left of his people from Assyria, like there was Israel in the day that he came up out of the land of Egypt. This is talking about Jesus' reign when he comes back. You know, all the things that we see. A child will play with a viper because everything will be peaceful. That would be a sight to see, wouldn't it? That would be pretty amazing. Now, the last part is talking about all these cities, and we could go into, you know, what each city believed in, but you know, that would take a while. The whole point is that these cities were real, and these people, you know, different cities believed in different things, and well, it would take a long time. So that would be another story for another day. The last thing we're going to do is Proverbs 23, 6 through 8. Don't eat the food of him who has a stingy eye, and don't crave his delicacies. For he thinks about the cost, so is he. Eat and drink, he says to you, but his heart is not with you. You will vomit up the morsel which you have eaten and waste your pleasant words. Yeah, it says stingy, not stingy or anything. Don't eat the food of him who has a stingy eye. That is interesting. And don't crave his delicacies. As for he thinks about the cost, so is he. Eat and drink, he says to you, but his heart is not with you. You will vomit up the morsel which you have eaten and waste your pleasant words. So someone who's just against you, don't eat what he says. Don't believe what he says. You must know who is against you and act accordingly. Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for everything that you've given us. Help us understand the book of Isaiah, as it is prophetic and mentions Jesus many times. A shoot will come out of the root of Jesse. We know that. Jesus came from that bloodline, and that's what you were pointing towards. Help us today. Help us hear from you, and tell us what you want us to do. In the name I pray. Amen. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me December 5th, and I'll be with you tomorrow. I'll see you later. Goodbye.